Hello again, everybody. Todd Michael Putnam here from D&D Creative Table Designs, bringing you another adventure table idea. And this one is the Faith Plague. The Faith Plague. And what happens here is the adventurers are traveling along and they reach a small town called the town of Wilbury. Yes, that's a joke from the Traveling Wilburys, for those who know the musical reference from the band back in the, I think it was the 80s. They travel to the town of Wilbury, and when they get there, they notice that there's something amiss almost right away. All the citizens seem anxious, and they're kind of darting around and looking around somewhat nervously. And they might be traveling with each other in ones or twos, but there aren't any large congregations of groups or anything. And when the players come to go talk to them, most of the residents just seem to like shake their head and cover their face and dart away without saying anything, or at most say, "I can't talk to you. Go away. Leave me alone." And so it's very strange that they would be receiving this type of a reception. What the players do notice as they're walking around town is that there are some people that are standing out in front of homes that have got either a torch or a lantern, and they're just standing there slowly waving it, even though it's daytime, slowly waving it. And if they look around long enough, they'll see that these guys that are dressed all in black robes and have black masks and are wielding a little lamp themselves, again, even though it's daytime, will eventually come over to them and begin talking to them, and then they'll go into the home. And so eventually the players will talk to one of the people who's waving the lamp, will talk to them. If they accost them enough, if they keep asking questions, eventually the person waving the lamp will let them know that the plague of faith has come, and it has struck the town of Wilbury, and there are few who can stop it. And as you look around, the players, they will be told that that apparently there's a new group of priests in town. The old priests, even though people go to the old priests and pray to them, saying that our loved ones have become sick, the old priests, their prayers seem to have no effect. Doesn't matter which god it is. When they pray to cure the people who get struck down by this faith plague, which slowly withers them and they die over the course of just a few days, their prayers have no effect, and it seems like the gods themselves have become helpless. But apparently, about 6 or 7 months ago, a group of religious people showed up and claimed to be representing the new gods. And they dress all in black, and they carry these lanterns, and they have masks on their face. And when asked about it, why do they dress that way and who do they pray to, these seekers say that they are seeking the new gods. They were all members of the clergy of different faiths. They all prayed to different gods, each one of them did, but they all received a dream letting them know months and months ago that the old gods were passing, that their power in this world was fading, and that the new gods would soon begin to reveal themselves, but first they would reveal themselves through their power. So even they admit that they don't know much about who the new gods are, but they are told, supposedly, by the new gods that they must dress in black, all in black, in order to show deference and mourning for the passing of the old gods, to be respectful to the old gods themselves and their clergy, to not accost them, to not call them names or say that their gods are worthless or dying or anything like that, but instead to treat them with reverence of those who are soon to pass. And that's why they dress all in black. And the reason why they wear these black masks that cover their face is because the identity of the new gods are still kept secret from them, even though the new gods are investing in them a small portion of their power to show them that they are real. And so what's happening is that they were told that they tell people when this plague took effect, when people came to, and the old priests couldn't do anything, in desperation, finally, the townsfolk started coming to the new seekers and started asking them, and the seekers wouldn't accept any money. They would not take any offerings whatsoever, as all the old gods did. They would say, "No, we can accept no offerings until our faith proves to you that it's true. And all you need to do is stand outside of your door with a torch or a lantern, and we will see you, and our members, two of our clergy members will come find you, and we will administer our prayers to the sick and the dying, and we will cure you with the power of the new gods. And so that's what they would do. Finally, when the old gods were not getting any results, they were not able to cure this disease, which seemed to be attacking the very faith and heart of the individuals and taking their lives within just a few short days of getting sick. People began coming to the new seekers, finding out what it was, accepting no offerings, and so they would just stand out in front of their home, and they would wave their lantern, and the seekers would come out of their building. They had an old building, and they come out of that building, and the two of them would come, and they would minister and say some prayers to the new gods over the individual, and over the next 3 to 4 days, the individual would be cured. Their prayers seemed to work. And so the old gods were being undermined, and the seekers of the new gods appeared to be showing that their power was indeed true. And the players can go around and they can talk to the individuals, and they'll see that there's many, many people who have died from this plague because people refused to go find the seekers. At first, they trusted the old gods who would always come to them. So the cemetery, small as it is just beginning to overflow with the new dead from this plague of the faith. But now that people have found that when the seekers come and pray, they're actually getting results. They are coming to the seekers, and the seeker will come. They'll come to that building, and all that they'll see this front person. A person will walk in, and they will say that they wish to seek the favor of the new gods, and they will let them know, go with the instructions. Stand out in front of your home, wield a lantern or a lamp to show that you too are seeking enlightenment from the new gods, and our members will come and find you. And they refuse to accept any money. You can't bribe them or anything up front. Only after they have healed somebody will they accept whatever favors that someone wishes to offer. So that's been going on for a few weeks now, and the seekers are beginning to go more and more powerful, not really as a political group, although they wield are beginning to wield power, but everyone is still nervous and upset because it's undermining the order of everything, and the old gods, who everybody's worshipped for countless generations, seem to be utterly helpless to do anything about this. But again, the seekers are the only ones that are saving people's lives. So what's really going on here? The seekers aren't clerical members at all. They're all rogues. Every single one of them are rogues, and they have high ability scores when it comes to insight and deception and performance. And they're con men, and they're playing a long con game. And the long con game is this: they came in 6 months ago and just minded their own business and didn't bother anybody, just kept to themselves. And if anybody asked them, they would simply give that cover story that they had, that they seeked the new gods. And people looked at them like they were kind of weird, but they didn't mind because they knew what was coming. Several months later, what they started doing was putting poisons into the water supply, and it's a slow-acting poison. It would build up over time. It wasn't a one-shot, but you'd have to have like 10, 12, 13 drinks or whatever it is of the water, and it would begin to affect you. And that's why the prayers to cure diseases weren't working, because the people weren't diseased. They've been poisoned. And so it made it look as if the clerics themselves did not have any power over this. The old clerics didn't have any power. Well, when people would come and ask the seekers, they would do a mock little ritual, and they would say some stuff with some fervent prayers and whatnot, and put on their best performance and acting skills. And then what they would do is they would actually administer the antidote, which of course they called was holy water. And they'd have the people drink the holy water, which was really just the antidote. And then within a few days, the person would get better. And usually the people would provide them with a reward. They would give them money to cure them. But if they didn't give them money, the new seekers didn't object, said that is not their purpose to get money. They wouldn't do anything. But when the next member of the household would get sick, they would refuse to cure them by saying, you sought the power of the old gods. They did indeed cure you of your family member, and now this other family member is sick. We're not going to cure them because you're taking the new gods for granted, and they don't appreciate that. So they'd get the money in the back end. Then they'd get a twofer up front, and they'd usually end up getting paid more money because the people felt that they had offended the god. this whole thing is a big con game from beginning to end. And in the back of the building here, they have basically a little apothecary where they just mix up the poison in the back and then and distribute it in the well for the water for the drinking supply, poisoning the town. They themselves, of course, have their own water supply, so they don't get sick. Plus, they've got the antidote on hand for their poison anyway, so it wouldn't matter even if they did drink some. They're all set. So part of the other thing that'll go on, of course, is because whenever there's that sort of civil unrest, people start to get a little antsy. Some people, especially the younger men, start to act out, and you might get some roving gangs that go around in the street at night and start roughing people up because there's just so much tension going on in the town. So that's the idea behind it. It's basically a big, long con game from the rogues themselves. And of course, once the players figure out what's going on, once they realize that people are being poisoned, which they can do, a cure poison spell might take care of it. Somebody who's got a high enough medicine skill might be able to get the DC check and determine that, oh no, this isn't a disease. This is actually a slow-acting toxin that builds up over time. It's a pretty high number, but it might take them some time to figure it out. But they could do it. They'd be able to track down, of course, who was drinking from which well at which time, and they could see where people were getting sick in spurts, and so they would be able to use the old, epidemiology, excuse me, and determine that way where people are getting sick in clusters. And oh, look, they have this well in common. So what's similar about this well? They'd be able to do things like that in order to track down that this is not a natural plague. And then when they finally confronted the rogues in the Seeker's building, the rogues would reveal themselves for who they are, and of course they would do their backstabbing and pull all their tricks and stuff that they could. But if necessary, just flee with whatever cash they could, and maybe move on to the next town to try and pull the con again. So that's it. That's the Faith Plague, which was really no plague of the faith at all. It was just really a big dupe from a bunch of scandalous rogues who've managed to pull the wool over the eyes of everybody in the little town of Wilbury. So that's it. I hope you like the adventure idea and the concept of it. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more adventures. And I'm sure I'll be producing more soon. So I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you then. You guys take care. Bye.